Are we live? Are we live?
How alive?
How live are we? Can you check the YouTube? Is this actually the copcast everyone was waiting for? It
That's just a
looks
phone
like it.
call for me. Like, I'm not in front of a computer or anything. I'm sitting in the corner of a room in a rocking chair in
That's
front of a
nice.
table with a bottle of water and full of fish and rice and cabbage salad
Let's see.
after a full day of my.
Oh my god, I'm live. It works. It's the first live stream. Bear with me, people. Welcome to Cans of Corn. I fucked up the intro. Okay, then let
Cans
me
of corn,
fuck up the
cans of
rest
corn,
of the live
cans of
stream.
corn. It's cans of
Cans.
corn, corn, cans,
We
cream
have a
corn,
jingle.
and corn.
We have a jingle. Yeah, well, you hear the voice, the lovely voice of. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Allison Clare. Known. What are you going by these days?
Me?
How am I to address you?
Nah, I'm just Corn, you know.
Corn. Okay, I've known Corn for a little over a year. So we've tried to start a podcast. Here we are
Mm,
having a normal conversation in which I, Allison Clare, am not going to go completely nonverbal or stumble over my words. Everything that I say is going to be incredibly poignant
it will
and
totally
very
make
intelligent
sense.
sounding. Right. Yeah. Just like every other conversation we've ever had, right?
Right? Oh my god. Let's just hope it won't be like that.
Because that's been horrible.
It's been
It's a
horrible.
chore.
Absolutely useless. Nothing to make a podcast with. So, I don't know. I think we already lost everyone. So maybe we should just get started then. I don't know.
You're going to read something.
hmm So this piece I was working up in a workshop, and it never got published. So I'm gonna need some feedback from all
All
you
right. And you're
hangers out
yourself
there.
publishing it in an auditory format right now.
Right.
Will be published.
Which is why I'm going to read it. You can actually look this up on my Patreon. That's linked somewhere, and read it for yourself. Could actually maybe even post a link in chat or something. Do it in chat.
If Lexa Pearl was here right now, she'd be saying, repost, 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 man. You know it.
All right, you have a link in chat.
Awesome.
Dadaist field report. What the hell is going on? The voice of my old friend should have calmed me down, but it had a crushing effect on my confidence instead. And the car seemed to stand still, which just wasn't possible at all since I was the one driving it. Actually, it was the world moving at a pace I controlled with my foot on the throttle, taken by the sudden realization that mere mortals could barely muster the shape to wield this kind of power. I stepped on clutch and brakes, cut the engine, jumped the car, and took a deep breath. There he goes, one of God's own prototypes. A high-powered mutant of some kind never even considered for mass production. Too weird to live and too rare to die. It was a quote by Hunter S. Thompson, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Out here, In the blistering heat of a summer afternoon, the smell of wild weeds growing on the clearing we stopped on mingled with the scent of resin and wood from the trees surrounding this patch of the forest path. A few birds were definitely mocking us from the trees nearby, but how did I even know? Fuck, man. My friend suddenly jumped out the car. It looked as if it had grown a head, with its own tiny set of shoulders to sit on. It made me giggle a little. I was definitely losing it. Panic bordering anxiety crept up from a little cramp in my stomach and slowly wrapped me into a piece of well-sealed luggage you could just forget at some airport. Lost and found to question existence, more scrambled thoughts like, this is me now? How long is this going to last? People pay good money for this? In this state, I was barely able to press out a few words. Making every single one of them count as if they had been my last, I yelled out, I took 7. Quote, in direction and application, art is always subordinate to the time and space it occupies, and artists are creatures of the epos. The highest form of art will be one which represents the thousandfold problems of this time in its content of consciousness. It will exhibit the decision to be thrown by the explosions of the past weeks, always recollecting its limbs after receiving last day's crushing blows, again and again. The best and most unheard of artists will be those who rip the chunks of their living body out of the chaos of fleshly cataracts constantly, docked in the intellect and psychology of their time, bleeding from both hand and heart. The Dadaist Manifest. A couple hours later, I was peeking out already. That's when we arrived at the park. The place was rather crowded, and of course my friend insisted to stop by the caged animals and the little zoo you can also find inside the park. It's a really big park, called the People's Park, with pathways cutting through rows of dense greenery and carefully groomed English lawn like arteries. By the time we've reached the zoo, I was more interested in observing people interacting with the animals. It didn't take my friend too long before he spotted me openly staring at at an older couple in a pair of matching beige suits, which is why he decided to find a nice place for a smoke break. They must have been together for ages. You could tell by the way she instructed her partner which animal to feed with the bread she handed out to him. They were all smiles, true love, a beautiful scene to behold. Reflecting on this spectacle of sorts, I've asked myself, are we just caged animals in a bigger zoo? Quote, Dada is the international expression of this time, the big villain of art movements, the artistic reflex in all protests, peace congresses, bar fights, brunches and cigarette breaks. It is not just some artsy club founded in Berlin, nor a pretense for ambitioned writers. It is a habit of mind which can reveal itself during every conversation. Depending on the circumstances, you might only be a Dadaist by chance, minding your business by holding on to any kind of job that pays the bills. Being a Dadaist means to have yourself being thrown around by the tides of life, to actively refuse any collection of sediment. To be locked down on a chair for a moment means to have your life threatened. Mr. Wang pulled a revolver out of a pocket already. End of quote. The Dadaist Manifest. The sun was already starting to set when we found a free spot on the green, under 2 oaks. I must have raised that question aloud because my friend turned awfully quiet, so I passed the joint silently and listened to the birds chirping. What a peaceful moment, I thought to myself. And the response took me by surprise. You see it, said the mockingbird. Said the what? My eyes went up, scanning for something in the trees. Oh, I see how it works. You can talk with the birds while it's at peace? I thought to ourselves, down here and up in that tree. You see it, wings flapping. I managed to catch a glimpse of the bird taking off, laughing. Quote, I'm a man who believes that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything. Malcolm X. You've guessed it already. This wasn't the hedonistic field trip I was looking for. It was my departure for a different journey instead. Took me a while to admit I've struggled with depression most of my adult life, that I had to take back control over this derailed freight train heading nowhere. And there was light at the end of the tunnel, in a dark maze of constructivist bullshit I mistook for proper individualization. Psilocybin opened new alleys by unwiring the neural pathways in my brain. Over time, the whole practice slowly altered my personality. I got to deconstruct old thought patterns, exploring new universes of possibilities bit by bit. And in light of this growing connection with my internal world, even microdosing started to seem superficial at some point. Synchronicities reaffirmed the cultivation of a less self-destructive habitus with a laser focus on activities that really meant something. Now I was trying to sublimate all kinds of impressions from the collective subconsciousness, picked up on anything, everywhere and whatever it felt like. But there's only so much you can do alone, and it would take nothing short of a collective effort on a more industrialized level to explore the whole depth of this Neuralink adequately. Onwards, comrades. I did it.
The crowd goes wild.
He can read. He can actually read. He isn't
I
just
know.
pretending. He
He
can't
wasn't
really
pretending
good.
this whole time.
It wasn't a really flow. It was more. I don't know. I'm too nervous. I don't know. Maybe
You did
my.
really well. That was very good fluency.
Yeah. Thank you.
I do. Was a little bit more elongated than your conversational tone, but I mean that's how reading voice goes.
Yeah, it's also very dense text. The fuck did I write there, man? I need to get out
You
of
had a
it.
unique voice. You didn't have reader's voice. Like I've been in. There are certain cadences that people, when they start reading things, they'll naturally fall into because that's the way that they've heard other people read things in the past.
Mhm.
In spoken word and poetry, like the more open mic nights you go to, you start to recognize what those cadences sound like, and you had a unique cadence, I would say, first and foremost. So congratulations on that point. You can read and well.
Nice. Thank you. That's good. So
I
we
don't
got.
know if you have anything in particular like you want feedback on, because what I did was I read through the text again and broke it down paragraph by paragraph and sort of had one central blurb that I said about each little part of your writing, and they're in chronological order.
Okay, give it to me.
Okay. Okay. So I guess like at the beginning of this piece, I'm I'm aware that you legitimately have some car crash related lore. So I'm wondering how much of the crash imagery in this piece is meant to be interpreted literally, or how much of it is a metaphor for where you found yourself in life as a whole, or basically just what the fuck is happening with the crash imagery. Like you were in a car crash, right? Like you had, you know, it is like it was upsetting. And
Yeah,
I'm
it
wondering if
was.
this piece is like meant to explore how that, or if it's just like that's a similar anxiety to where your life was in the time that this story takes place, which is sort of timeless. It doesn't have like a concrete time. It has like a dream like. That's why I'm asking, is because it doesn't seem like it's an anecdote, but it's fableized in a way where it does not have a concrete time signature to it.
Right.
So like were you so that's not concrete imagery, maybe.
It
That's
is.
it is.
It is, yeah, and it's actually even more lame than the crash image. It kinda.
Car crashes
We
are
actually just
dreadful.
stopped in this forest path while so nothing happened. It was just
And
I
almost
I saw this as well, and I see there are no lot. There's a metaphor I can use this for my situation right now as well. I mean, I've been in those moments a lot. It's also symbolic uh, intro, if you will. So nice that you picked up on that. It's cool.
yeah. And then you have a quote by Hunter S. Thompson. And I did read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas a million years ago. Not recently. I think I read part of the Rum Diaries, maybe a couple of his shorter pieces. But is there anything specifically about that book or author that really resonates with you? And he
hmm
wrote apart from the shared batshit insanity.
hmm Yes. Funny, funny thing is, we had a piece from Hunter S. Thompson on the
About the
Derby.
Kentucky
Yeah,
Derby.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, so that's
And
one of the
we read
shorter things
that,
that I did read.
and it just reminded me of possibly one of my favorite movies. It's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the director cut that gives the movie this whole new political dimension. It's suddenly turned into a critique, actually, culture critique. Mm.
Yeah, his brand of journalism was powerful.
There's a few scenes they cut out of the thing uh,
I don't think they
for
really
the
dive
version they
into
had.
the desert races too much in the movie. Do they? They go out to the desert and do the races in the movie, don't they?
They do, but
It's
more
like a
just for
huge
the fun. They cut
scene
the
in the book.
dialogue scene from the bar where you had this rather philosophical, critical debate with Kevin Costner, I think, of all people. It was kind of amazing just to meet Kevin Costner there. And then that part and Kevin Costner got totally cut out of the movie.
Hmm.
So yeah, people go and watch the director's cut. It's not just some funny movie. It's wild what you can do with a few scenes and then what you can do with cutting them out. Totally
Yeah, he's got like a
reduced movie.
really deep, biting, sardonic humor. Just like
hmm
makes really traumatizing events very, very humorous.
However,
Um,
that quote, it just really, I kind of felt it. And that moment, this weird power and also being totally out of space and alien to what's going on here with those worldly matters, you know. So that's why I picked the quote. Just so.
Yeah. See that? Here's okay. This don't this is my critical writing workshop constructivism coming out. But I think that the first draft I read of this back this past summer may not have included some of the concrete sensory details that you've pulled in now. So
Exactly.
I think that's great that more was added, but honestly, I believe you're capable of pushing those sensory inclusions even a little bit further because you describe a tree as smelling like wood. And I think that's a little like using the word and the definition of the
It's a
same
bit
word.
flat. Yeah,
And I caveat that I'm only mentioning this because I know for a fact you're quite good at being descriptive in your speech and your visual art. So I'm sure you could pull it into your writing.
that was lazy corn. Okay.
but but it was resin and wood, and it was like it did give a little bit more of the
Right.
sense of being in the woods and smelling the underlying petrichor and the lichen growing up the trees or the
That's how you do it.
however you go. I didn't give too many further suggestions there, but it's something that I know that you're capable of developing is the sensory details. And that's something my creative teaching Pink Nate Benedict in Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, was always trying to push in our creative fiction workshops down there.
Hmm.
So I mention it.
Cool.
So taking of 7, is that caps?
Ah, yeah.
And also PSA to the kids and newbies out there, do not attempt to shroom and drive. Corn is a professional stunt driver, and as you can tell from this story, it is clearly an idiotic situation for him. It's been an idiotic situation for me personally because I can remember like blaring Daft Punk and puking into my hand while driving down the freeway and thinking I was going to end up dead. But don't drink and shroom, or don't drive and shroom. Don't drink and
Don't
shroom either.
try
You won't
this at
want to
home,
drink.
kids.
Don't try this at home. Please, 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 please. I think most people could actually benefit from at least one positive experience with psilocybin. And and I'm willing to explore the idea of homeopathic self-medication for a myriad of legitimate reasons. However,
Hmm,
do not operate a motor vehicle on shrooms.
hmm.
I recommend a safe outdoor environment on a nice
Yeah.
day. A woods or a park. Animal encounters can make you understand a little bit better about what Cinderella and Snow White were always on about, making friends and singing with the little mice and birds. And you kind of get to start talking to the animals. I started talking to the trees and the flowers and the blades of grass and inanimate objects. Everything is my friend now,
Hmm.
but so I thought I knew that was caps. That it's I think later on in the story, maybe there's another mention of what specifically 7, what it was 7 of that you took, but
Nah.
it wasn't pills is the thing, and I think that's an important distinction to make because a lot of party
No, I
drugs
mentioned
are a lot of
psilocybin later. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That kind
I
of
think
came clear later on. Gave you the whole spread. Yeah. What else came up for you, Bill?
Soon after that, you've got a passage, a very strong concrete image in the line. Panic bordering anxiety crept up from a little cramp in my stomach and slowly wrapped around me into a piece of well-sealed luggage you could just forget at some airport.
Yo.
That's a particularly nice analogy. It does convey a sort of sense like you might just be a suitcase full of laundry that got forgotten by mistake, or you might be a bomb waiting to go off.
Wow. Yeah, you should
Like
actually
I wasn't
let
sure if you
security handle the suitcase.
right, like
Just in
like
case.
where is that suitcase? Who's the last person who touched it? And when was it left there?
Why is the guy smiling? Why is he wrapped in foil? Why is he cosplaying a suitcase? Let security handle that, dude. Yeah, definitely. You go out, man. You're scaring the host.
I like that image though. It is a strong line in the piece, I would say.
Yeah, it's this kind of fear that totally grips you and totally I mean, I was stunned, couldn't really do much. Kind of even moving gets hard, you know. Frozen. I was shook. Kind of funny. Seems to be a very common experience too, that you at first have this fear and anxiety and all that kind of shit, and then you let go of all that because otherwise you could also have something like a panic trip. And
I've only had one panic trip, and the rest of them, that's how I learned that I need to make sure that I'm semi in control of my surroundings before anything starts. Like being personally responsible for where I am, who's around, and everything. Because I thought I was up at this hippie festival called 10,000 Lakes in Minnesota. And I think it was maybe the first time I took mushrooms, and it was a chocolate. And we went for a walk in the woods, and there were legitimate bear scratches on some of the trees in this woods. And I was like, I actually don't want to get mauled by a bear right now, you guys. Like, everybody was like upset that I was harsh in their high by saying I was scared and wanted to go back. They were like,
did
we're
you,
not going to get mauled by a bear. And I'm like, it happens. Okay. It does. So even I,
you
I have my
chose the
shrooms.
beer? You didn't choose the beer. That's so mean.
I might have, shoulda. You know what?
Mighta, shoulda, coulda, woulda, maybe. But,
Mhm.
but now I'm
And
totally
you know what? In
distracted.
another timeline I did, there is a version of myself that did choose to continue in and get mauled by a bear. I hope she's doing well.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then after moving on, moving right along. The man or the bear, who would you choose? I don't even want to do that right this second.
Move, move
That's for
on.
next week's episode.
Move on. Let's go back to the
Because
thing.
the next passage is the Dadaist manifest,
Right.
which is what I consider to be the point that seems to drive the surrounding anecdotal narrative.
Ah. Getting to
in
the
my
meat.
Hmm?
We're getting to the meat.
Yum.
Yummy.
And speaking of meat, the visceral imagery of artists ripping the chunks of their living bodies out of the chaos of fleshly cataracts constantly is such an apt analogy for the relationship that it seems very common many artists.
I.
Or maybe it might be some portion necessary for artists to painfully rip out a part of themselves and offer it up like a sacrifice and an altar to the gods of art. Like if it doesn't hurt, then it's sort of sterile and dead on arrival, and it can't. It's
Sometimes.
not as powerful unless it does hurt you to give it away, but you're giving it away anyway because you just believe so much.
Wait. How does the hurt come in there?
It says ripping the chunks of their living bodies out of the chaos of fleshly cataracts
Yeah,
constantly.
that's like Hollywood, you know, like
Like
explosions
chunks.
and
Just like,
big fire and drama, yada yada. But when you boil it down, it's a very bloody affair, sure,
well,
certainly.
I think of
But
it
I'm
like,
not the one getting hurt, you know. I'm ripping the chunks out, pulling it
what?
together like Frankenstein, and then
Mm,
putting some life in. Maybe not. Maybe.
that's not how I read it, but I can understand why you're interpreting it that way too.
I mean, you that's that's in a way how I felt about it. Like putting your life together this way, you know, it's all just chunks. You are the Allison chunk,
Yeah,
and
well, I was like, I am the chaos of fleshly cataracts. Like, and I'm
right.
ripping chunks out of myself. Like, that's just
Wow.
had this image of just grabbing a handful of flesh out of my chest or whatever and like being able to pull it out like the Temple
The
of Doom,
negative.
like the
The
heart in the Temple of Doom, and just like plopping it down on the table like, here's your fucking art. I hope you like it.
oh wow.
I'm gonna go die now.
I mean, this
Enjoy.
is like spirit of Halloween just taking over my text. I'm not going to allow that. I need to change it. No, it's actually pretty cool. And that's what I like about this Dadaist manifest. You can read it in a lot of ways. In the first draft of this thing, I kind of changed it a little, and people got behind that, and I didn't like what was happening then, to say it this way. So I don't know. I was out of respect for the text. I just chose to translate it into English as best as I can, and I don't know, don't mess a lot with
So
it.
there's like a different interpretation. What language is it originally written in?
German. That's
Okay.
the German one I was working with here. I mean, I bet there's a few, but I went to the original text and then went from there.
I'm wondering what it is, like what the alterations in translation could be. I guess I could look it up in the original German and then put it into the translator and see like
Yeah, Google
a number of
Translate
different ways.
does a pretty good job. Yeah, that's true.
They usually do. Sometimes I have to go back and forth with them where I'm just like I'll put it in and I'll translate it and it won't convey correctly. And I'm like, we could do a little bit closer to what I actually meant there, I think.
Yeah, that's
I can
cool.
go back and forth, I think this imagery, this translation is very successful
Hmm.
in the strength of the message that gets interpreted there.
Hmm. And I like your reading too, and it's fair, so why not?
Yeah, no, that's one of my major contentions. It's actually what pushed me away from the path of literary analysis and into more creative writing vein is that I don't like the idea of having to read a piece and come to a correct answer. Like, I don't necessarily know that there's always a correct answer.
Right.
From the writers that I know that, like, even the way a writer will put something down on paper isn't what they necessarily meant as perfectly, because just language is inherently flawed, and you're kind of
Mm.
subject to your own lexicon and your own, like, vocabulary.
Yep.
So yeah, I like the idea of multiple translate multiple ideas floating around. So pathways cutting through rows of dense greenery and carefully groomed English lawn like arteries is a great example of where I feel like your ability to use detail and imagery to create meaningful simile stands out. And that's why I know you could probably think of a better adjective to describe trees than wood.
Really. Poetic. I put myself into a corner there. Corn.
A can of corn, or a can corn. It's cans of corn, it's cans of corn. You said the special word.
Shit.
Today's secret word is. Do you have any further rumination about if we are just caged animals in a bigger zoo?
Oh my god. Where to
What do you
start?
think?
Oh my god. Where to start? I mean, it's actually that part is pretty much how it went on. And I was even later on, I was asking myself, what happened to the friendship? What was going on? Why didn't we? But our life went different ways, and I had to work in a different part of the zoo and work on my career and study and fuck up my nice study and then work on another part of the zoo and fuck up that as well. And I tend to get a lot into the way of the pest control working inside the zoo, to say it that way. And also, they are not even, I mean, I'm no pest. I'm a wolf, actually. So I'm part of the
Which ones are the
part of
pests?
the club.
Which ones are not supposed to be there? Tell me which ones are the animals that are not allowed to be at the zoo.
I think it's the human gatekeepers, actually, but
No pigeons,
that's
no pizza rats.
that's animal consciousness again. So wow, I don't even know where to start, man. It's just this scene with those old people who were
What were they feeding? Do you remember?
some goat,
Animals.
some
Goat.
goat. Yeah,
They were feeding goats bread?
they have. I don't know if
That's
it was bread or any
crazy.
whatever it was.
I'm just curious.
Anything. Maybe it
People
was
love to feed
apples.
animals bread.
Could
Bread is
be
horrible for
food.
almost all animals. I wish
I
another
actually
PSA, don't feed animals bread. Give them like vegetables or
no. Well, I was more taken by their clothes, by their appearance, by their
yeah, there's something about like full beige suits that I'm
like
just like,
this
oh,
partner
like,
suit outfit generally is like totally knocks
like
me
a
out of the park
safari.
every time. It's like, oh wow, you too. Okay,
You love
okay.
so each other so much that you're the same person. That's very
You a gang now? Probably run the same Facebook account too. Scary people. Yeah, no. Maybe it was that. Maybe it was. I couldn't. I think that's the best I can put it. I mean, later I talked about individualization and how the zoo tends to give us illusions regarding individualization and tends to put us into nice little consumer corners where we can just suck at it, you know. So there's a lot I had to rediscover about myself that in the process of getting accustomed and adapting to society, kind of lose on the way. So
I'm most familiar
domesticization.
with the St. Louis Zoo, and I have like a specific example of something that my brain won't let me stop thinking about every time I go visit. Like I don't visit super often, but it's free and it's rated the best zoo in America. So
Hmm. I mean,
come visit St. Louis. It's a great place.
we could also talk about Animal Farm.
I love Animal Farm. That's another one. Like I got into like mid-American classics at some point in my reading history, and George Orwell is
That's
he
George
like
Orwell,
his yeah his metaphors are not subtle.
and not too shabby.
Right. He's like a little bit dark. He's like
A
dark
little bit.
Dr. Seuss. I would say George Orwell is like dark Dr. Seuss because Theodore Geisel was also a very prominent political commentator and satirist until he started being Dr. Seuss. At which point he still wrote stories like The Sneetches and Yertle the Turtle, which are clearly like stories about politics for babies. But George Orwell kind of just like his was too bleak to rhyme cat and hat and hop on pop, I guess. I don't know. Um, Animal Farm is a great book.
It's a good one.
Uh,
Hi Lexa,
how
we've
they
got we've
how
got Lexa Pro, we've got Gang and Chat.
oh gangs and chow. Hi gang. That's exciting. I'm not looking at the chat at all. So
Keep on doing what you're doing. Uh,
Animal
we've
Farm is shit.
we have been at the
I
zoo.
don't remember. I don't remember. They go and like they organize. I can't. I mean, like I remember that the pigs are the. You brought it up. You talked to me about it.
The pigs.
The motherfucking pigs. That's one of my favorites when I drive around my town blaring music routinely
Hmm.
to the point that I'm a little bit concerned that somebody is going to turn in a noise complaint, but I do like to drive
She does that.
around the Adams County jail and blare the pigs, the motherfucking pigs.
Aesop Rock. This is not a Aesop Rock hoodie.
There should be an Aesop Rock hoodie that says this is not an Aesop Rock hoodie.
It should. Alrighty.
It's got a picture of a lantern fly smoking a cigar on it. Wait, that's not a cigar.
No, it's not a cigar. This is not a cigarette.
Oh, actually, you were talking about the couple. I was gonna say, in the end of your field report, you step away from the story of the car and the friend and the couple at the zoo and the mockingbird, and you explore what insights you feel this and subsequent somewhat related experiences led you to help understand. That sentence didn't make sense, I don't think. Hold on. In the end of your field report, you step away from the story of the car and the friend and the couple at the zoo
Hmm.
and the mockingbird, bird, board, and you explore what insights you feel this and subsequent somewhat related experiences led you to help understand. Um, and I just meant your microdosing is what I was thinking about there. I was like, what the fuck was I talking about when I wrote that sentence? I'm not sure that fully made sense. But I personally agree with the idea that psilocybin can be utilized to great positive benefit in the treatment of depression, which is weirdly controversial idea inside of a society that is so heavily dependent on prescription pharmaceutical drugs. Like, why is it? Mm, what is the hang up? Like, what's the hang up about homeopathic practices
Oh, it's a
when
category
people
one
are
drug.
okay? Hmm?
Psilocybin is a category one drug, right? So
Wow.
that's
Is
the
that a
problem.
controlled substance? Is that a
I think
is
so,
category
right?
one controlled substance? Yeah, but like
So it's highly illegal. It's a
I know
problem.
in a lot of
And
places. I think it might be
also,
legalized in a couple
there
places.
are some really interesting studies out there with psilocybin use in therapy. So this actually works. It works pretty well. It's
It regrows
actual
neurons.
science. It rewires the neural pathways in your brain. And yeah, I mean, that's writing about unwiring, and that's exactly what's going on there. And then on the next day, when you're sober and again, then yeah, you get to run around with a rewired brain. You get to keep those experiences and get to think differently about all your experiences in a way, especially those you've been kind of working on more or less subconsciously. And however, it's early study phase because we just criminalizing stuff that actually helps. And it kind of makes sense when you think about Capita and how Capita would rather
But
milk
like,
people to death than actually help them, you know?
what?
So,
I mean, is it just like because it's not harmful enough that it's categorized as it? I'm just curious that with all the known risks and side effects of the drugs that are people are allowed to feel like they can be businessmen
mhm.
and very high powerful government officials, and you can do anything if the drugs that you take come in a little compressed
Yeah,
pill form,
right.
but not if you take like something. I'm not, it's like different drugs can work for different people. I
Well,
never undercut the fact that what works for one person's brain
now we're
works for their
talking.
brain. Like, that's fine. But this works for so many people's brains. It just like, it's so maddening that it hasn't even been allowed to be established alongside the other options.
Well, war on drugs. War on drugs is
More on
also
the good drugs.
war on drugs is also
Yeah.
class warfare, and you pretty much laid it down already. You know, the I just to simplify it, the rich people just buy their pills and live happy lives, and the other ones, I don't know, street people, you know,
I
simple
think the
life
confusing
is
part for
over.
me is just like it would be easy to capitalize on. There's no reason like you couldn't other than maybe like they found that it works too well and it heals people,
That's the
and their
point.
goal is not to heal people, it is to keep people a little bit sick so they have to continue on with the thing that they need to buy.
Yes and no. There are very successful people running said therapy. So they have their market, they are pretty successful. They use it in a legal setting, controlled setting, and they probably make a lot of money with that. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like there's money to be made in this market. It's not like
Contradictions under capita, they always work.
it's so strange. I just like I don't understand
That's
I
why
don't
I'm
understand
running a
some
live stream
prohibition.
now. I mean, why am I here? What the fuck is Dada sitting on a chair? This is totally not working with the text. You
He
know that,
wins.
right? I'm
Hmm?
probably sitting here holding a revolver into the camera. You just don't see it.
Oh my gosh. Like that's a totally different tangent from your field report, but I have like an interesting story about a guy holding a pistol. Jesus Christ. Christ,
Don't
Michael.
share it.
I don't
Don't.
even never
Just
say his name.
just skip it.
Stifle it
Skip
down.
it.
Stifle it down. Don't
Stay
even think about it.
focused.
I'm sure he's fine.
Stay focused. Feed. You can do.
Okay, do you have any recommendations for artists or authors or musicians for people who may be interested in continuing to explore what Dadaism is? Are there-
Oh, listen to hip hop.
Listen,
Um, yeah, it's still alive. It's
what's an artist? You're always sharing an artist on your Facebook socials about like it starts with a P or
right.
far. Minas, is that Dadaism? Like it's
No, I mean Dadaism. There's some good material out there to get some basic insight. I don't know history and whatever. Um, but the vibe and the whole spirit is doing pretty well.
something like jazz.
Come again?
Like jazz, is it like finding finding the notes that
No,
don't
there's
fit the cadence? It's like the
this.
discord between the beats or something like that.
I can bring an example. Yo, we usually like to work with provocations and stuff, and digging into the truth of the matter, whatever, riles people up. And when they lose themselves and emotions take over, and you get those temporal lobot- lobotomy responses, that's what
I had
the
one of
original
those recently.
Dadaists called driving people dada, you know? So it's essentially a method to drive people crazy by emotionally overreacting to your art and thusly reaffirming it, you know? And that's the part they don't get. I get responses, I get critiques that are pretty negative, and in that pretty much illustrate a very arrogant and paternalist mindset. And people come and talk down to me about what
Yeah.
I'm doing wrong. You know, you got to do this and that. That's the the typical shit. That's usually how it works.
But I think the more you I think it's as speaking as a person who I entertain negative criticism of my own thoughts and actions. Like I sort of work it into my day to make sure I listen to what people are saying about
Mm.
me and the things that I'm doing. And once in a while, it's poignant. Once in a while, it is like something that I'm like, oh, I should maybe take that into consideration. But a lot of the time, it just falls into this pattern of you can tell they're like a bully. Like a lot of people are just
Sure.
like, I don't know. They just learned that that's the only kind of interaction that they can get. Like the kid who just like is annoying as fuck just because like for the sole end that the only attention that anybody has ever given them is after they act like that and they get the outburst of anger in return. And so that's the type of energy that they start thriving on. And so that's the type of energy that they start seeking out. And a lot of people who are highly critical are that. Like it just goes back to gaslighting. For the sake of gaslighting, for like they might not even disagree with you, they just want to say something shitty. And it becomes really easy to pick that out from criticism that you should maybe take into consideration. So that's what I learned from being like from losing my own fear of being criticized. Like I think one thing that stands in the way, did historically stand in the way of me acting and is very real for a lot of people is just like this fear of being met with opposition, this fear of people telling them, reaffirming the bad things that they already think about themselves, basically. They're like,
And
you're an
without,
idiot. Like you feel like an idiot and
yeah,
somebody tells you you're an idiot. But you know what? If you dress up like a gigantic green frog and somebody tells you you're an idiot, it's like, yeah, I fucking know.
and I don't need
What now? Like,
Dostoevsky.
what else?
This is
You
not
want to
that
you want to
idiot.
see a pirouette? I don't disagree.
I mean, in a way, it tends to give more. They tend to tell you more than they want to, and you can work with that. And also, often tell you a lot about yourself and about the things you do good, even if they mention them in a bad way and whatever. I mean, you can pretty much turn it around all of the time.
Yeah, I had a
Which
pretty
is why
prominent
I'm
member of our
wondering,
community.
why are the bullies doing this? I mean, they probably recognize game. That's what I think, that they see, oh man, that's a bully. And they're not wrong because I'm a bully for bullies. And then they come and apply for bullification and I go and say, oh man, thank you. And they don't get what they want. Must be super frustrating, man. So, works. It works pretty well. So yeah, we need more trolls for the trolls. That's also big part of why we are running this. You need all the juice. It's going to
Give
get
us all the
bitter, man.
juice. I'll take all
Fucking
your juice,
juice.
please.
By
More
the
juice box,
way,
please.
fucking fucking mushrooms, really? How was your weekend? Tell us about the frogs of protest. I wanna hear about the real world shit going on. I'm just sitting
Oh,
here in
no.
Germany with our weird Chancellor shit and oh my god.
So I think that to properly appreciate the context in which I am desperately trying to hold on to like a little thumbtack in the middle of the heartland of America,
That's
where
right.
over 72% of all of the people in the surrounding 8 counties vote strictly Republican constantly. And we have a giant semi with Charlie Kirk face plastered on it in the middle of our town. I think there's another big billboard with Trump's face on it. Oh my gosh. It's so that's the kind of place that I'm at. There's 40,000 people here. If you look at a map of where I live, like you will see how the highway literally ends. Like it goes to my town and no further. Like there's just they were just like, "Oh fuck.
We're
We
here.
give up.
This is
Forget it."
nowhere. We've made it. The
we
highway
we
to
made it to the
nowhere.
middle of nowhere,
We
the
won.
legitimate middle of
Good.
nowhere.
Nice.
So, but we mustered the final count was a little over 400 people, which was astoundingly good for us. Like I think in March, maybe at the beginning of this year, there was a initial hands-off branded rally. Um, I know the first one that I was involved in was in April 19th. Um, and I moved forward from there. But this was the largest crowd. We actually had a heckler who is a total nutcase. Oh my gosh. I don't, for legal purposes, I won't be discussing too much of that person on on a recorded line. But
My
but
lawyer.
I'll tell you about that guy later. Um, still a little concerned about his use of imagery. And if he doesn't understand it, that's another concern. But overall, it was great. Everybody loved that there were people in costumes. My mom was dressed up. My mom dressed up, and somebody else, a couple other people, a friend of mine, Megan, dressed up, and an elder in our community. I'm not super old. He was like 60 maybe, and he dressed up like a turtle. There's a bee, a bumblebee. We had Doodle Bob was there. And I did not know how hot those costumes get. They get exceedingly hot. So I switched places, and right when I had taken my costume off to breathe for a second, a friend of mine from Portland showed up, and I was like, "Hey, Angelina, do you want to be the turtle for or the frog? Do you want to be the frog for a while?" She's like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do." Like she was like so thrilled that she was able to represent for Portland here in the middle of Quincy, Illinois at this event. So I was glad for that. We had canvassers that went out physically and dropped off some handbills that I made up. Like somebody asked if we wanted that done, and I was like, "Oh, sure," and just made something one morning before work and then printed them off and took them to the girl's house and was like, "Here, to have at it." And she went around town for us, and it was like really nice to delegate, like have it be a project where I was delegating a few tasks. Like someone else was working kind of a head count and security detail. They just kind of walked around and made sure everything was going okay. And
Orga
so we
shit.
had more participation this time. And I think in previous events I felt like people were a little bit more self they were using their own volition. They weren't looking to the organizers for us to tell them what to do. They just knew what to do. And that was great. That was progress. That was the level of interaction and the quality of interaction were both very good. Good job, everybody. It was so fun. So there was this guy who's like zombie patrol, I guess, and he showed up, and there's actually a little bit of a video of where I start walking around in my giant frog costume like a zombie, like with my arms out straight and stiff legged and like tottering back and forth. And he did repost that with some audio about how he's gonna kill us. sure hope, sure hope that doesn't happen, I guess.
So
Fuck.
that's what you've
That's what I'm not gonna say.
what you've done with all this. Nice.
What was
Yeah,
so
no.
strange
I,
is just how many people react, how many comments I had to read that were like, "These people are so full of hate. They were so rude." And it's just like, you guys, there's videos of what we were doing. Like,
Look at this rude unicorn.
are you afraid of baby bunnies too? Like, are you afraid? Are you afraid of? I don't know. Um,
I don't know what did
what's
they
what's a
do?
thing that
Just
people you shouldn't be afraid of?
stand
Like,
there and just I don't know chant shit and did they?
smiled.
Oh wow, you can't see that. It's just a unicorn. You know, it usually has the same fucking expression, this fucking unicorn smile. Shut up, unicorn. Stop talking to me. I can hear your thoughts. Stop doing that.
An adjacent business called the cops and was
I
like,
mean,
"Oh, they're so
this
awful. They don't know you."
funny thing is, I saw a meme that was like, "This is not revolutionary. This is just radical liberalism."
I'm so confused about
So,
what
so
anybody
that you
actually expects
just so
us
you
to
know,
do.
this is not revolutionary, even if it might be. I mean, what? 7 million people, biggest protest ever. What
I
did I
always
hear?
think it's so funny when
It's just
it's so funny when I hear negative feedback like that right after we've led 7 million people out in the streets. It's like, you hate us so much that we inspired you to write an article about how awful we are. Like, so we did inspire you. Like, you wouldn't have written this thing that you think is so important that everybody on the internet needs to read it. Like, you are writing in response to what we did. You know, we're not listening to them, they're listening to us. So haters gotta hate, I guess. Hair flip. Next. I won't listen to too much negative criticism about this because, like, this is all just so absurd. Like, I don't know if you've seen the latest round of clear, clear, clearly Nazism propaganda that's being churned out. Like, just the
Oh, that
imagery.
was wild. Like
Like,
the totally fake video, which they just with fake subs and completely made up, and some guy can now sue the what was it, Department of Homeland Security? Just mother, what's going on? There must be very, very cranky up there to try
so
this,
I
and
guess.
it's totally they totally bundled it up. I mean, how can you just can't they just hire someone who can do this? I mean, amazing. Maybe they did get
And it's
hacked.
like, I'm not positive, but I just think that even hiring people who have no, like, it's like no experience at all, as long as they are not abjectly evil, like, as
Miller
long as they're not,
time.
could they just not be so purposefully bad? Like, it's not that these people aren't the best choice. They're like so bad. Not even close to anything remotely acceptable and
I got to
cutting all
tell
the
you,
basic services. And I'm like, how long
you
are
gotta
you
listen to the
are all the other
president. He just
are they all just
posted on
cooked?
Truth Social that he is not incompetent. You gotta listen to the man. It's
That
your
is what
president, after
that's
all.
what somebody who's not incompetent would probably say. They would probably get online and tell you how not incompetent they are. It's number one sign of competence is reassuring people.
Maybe the competent people would instead pretend to be totally insane Dadaist and have nothing interesting to say. Why are we doing this podcast? Maybe we should talk about why we are reading this here and not somewhere else. Or maybe we should do that in the after hour party. Are we going to do an after hour party?
We could do an after party. I don't I'm what time is it? Hold on. I got a little bit of
Probably.
time.
We don't
I got some time and I don't like know how much more brains I got left in my head,
you
but
don't need any for this one. It's probably
that's
not
good.
coming. I don't know. Do we
Still
have any
smarter than
visitors?
Christy Gnome.
Do we have any visitors? Is anyone
I,
even watching this? Is anyone still in chat? I don't know.
Carl Sagan, are you there?
However, if you
It's
see
me,
this still
Margaret.
with us, if you want to call in, do it. You can
And you can say hi
you can say hi.
and then I'll say hi.
You can hear some more juicy beef. Maybe we
Well, like,
can.
what are we
Maybe.
supposed to do? I want somebody to tell me what it is they fucking expect me to do with what little individualistic influence I wield. Like, I need to get way
Are
more
we?
than 7 million people together. But 7 million's a decent start, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Like, what are we supposed to, like, what are we supposed to do? I feel like it's a larger version of the personal recycling program where like you can get people to feel intrinsically horrible about themselves if they don't recycle. When really, I mean, this is being dictated by the producing manufacturers who continue to use petroleum-based plastics. We're like
Oh yeah.
us, whether we like, we're kind of priced out sometimes from buying more sustainably packaged products because it is at this time more expensive to buy a lot of, usually the manufacturing companies that make sustainable plastics, for example. They're more expensive. But my point is, whether one person recycles or not, it can't be left up to the individual. Like you can't like it's not fair to make somebody feel terrible because they're not able to stop the machine by themselves. Like, do you
Hmm.
know how big this machine is? Like,
I would
we're
go a
aware
step
of
further.
our own mortality. Like we're aware how very minuscule we are in comparison to the gears of war. Like
You immediately mentioned pricing and made this usual.
keeping people poor is a huge political move.
It's
Like
all
it's
political decisions, right? And when you have the political will, you can do a lot of things. You can, for example, just they sub oh man, I'm failing the words now. They subvention, I mean, they pour money in a lot of industries. So if you want to do it, you could. This is not a decision some producers have to take, right? And their investors, because that always will be the money line. That's capital.
if the people who were not already established as having the most wealth were not petroleum companies, like they wouldn't be lobbying for their own interests to continue to be on the top of the pyramid.
There you go.
But I'm not I'm not anywhere near enough. But it's I don't know. I guess when I hear that negative commentary about how like 5051 isn't a real movement, we're not really doing anything. Actually, we're doing more harm than good. And it's like, why don't you guys focus on the people who are actually causing problems?
Yeah, like Antifa, for example.
Yeah,
Mean
like
people
Antifa.
always
Yeah.
causing those anti-fascist protest problems and whatnot. Looks bad, then you have to, I don't know, come up with a stupid AI vid of bombing shit on them. It's mean. So mean. Yeah, we pretty much got it all figured out, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
So we should end it here.
Should
We are
we?
already well above the hour. This was excellent for a
Oh, I
quick.
thought this was the after party.
No, it wasn't.
Is there an after party?
Yeah, it
Are
is.
we
You
still going
gotta
to
you
it?
gotta look out for the link on the Patreon so we can get rich at
Oh, wait,
this
hold on.
and I can pay you a decent wage and you
Thanks
can
for
stop
having me
working.
on the show, Corn. Hopefully, I asked some poignant questions. And
Thanks for
hopefully, we find a lot of very blessed sponsors who want to help us continue creating content by joining your Patreon that you're going to use to hire me for real so I can quit my bullshit day job. Dada wins again.
yeah, Dada wins. See you on the other side. Check out the Patreon. I'm gonna post a link to the Zoom and you're all invited. See you.